As we head to Election Day on Tuesday, Bill de Blasio will have raised and spent $6 million more than Joe Lhota. This fundraising advantage is taking place during a prosecutorial crackdown on corruption. This is former state senator Shirley Huntley. Before she was sentenced to jail, Senator Huntley told investigators that she would see bags of cash outside the elevator in the Senate building. Bags of cash. How many examples of super PACs breaking the rules or exerting undue influence do we need before we take action to demand reforms of the campaign finance system? In my last YouTube video about the mayoral campaign, I mentioned how the Democratic candidate won't even meet with community activists because he has a fundraising minimum of $75,000 before he accepts a meeting. Can we play Let's Make a Deal? What would it take to start a conversation about the need to reform campaign finance laws and also the need to restrict the access and influence of lobbyists in our government? I don't have $75,000 in order to get a meeting with the candidates, but in order to start a conversation, how far will 20 euros get me? How about 80 rupees change? Will that help us to start a conversation? How about these decorative gems? Do they seem enticing? How about this stack of $1 bills? Or you can trade all that for the contents of my wallet. When it comes to the candidate who is supposed to deliver reforms, voters seem unsure about which curtain to pick. In New York, we have a supermajority of politicians who call themselves liberal and progressive, yet these leaders continue to fail to deliver meaningful reforms of campaign finance laws and laws that would restrict the access and influence that lobbyists would have in our government. What is the consequence of this continued failure of our supermajority liberal and progressive politicians? Hours after William Rapfogel was fired for financial irregularities, Christine Quinn, seen here with Mr. Rapfogel, immediately returned $25,000 in donations tied to Rapfogel. Investigators found over $400,000 in cash hidden in Mr. Rapfogel's home. Bags of cash. Meanwhile, Mr. Rapfogel's wife, Judy, who works for Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver, claimed she did not know that Mr. Rapfogel was hiding so much cash in their house. Gambling interests gave $2 million to a super PAC that supported Governor Cuomo at the same time Governor Cuomo was pushing an expansion of gambling in New York State. $2 million. Efforts to defeat the gambling expansion failed. Now that gambling interests got what they wanted, all of a sudden now, Governor Cuomo's super PAC is shutting down. Maybe we can expand Obamacare to cover compulsive gambling treatment at the Mayo Clinic. Politicians aren't really interested in confronting all of this corruption because it's in their best interest to keep milking the system. Governor Cuomo appointed Governor Cuomo appointed Kathleen Rice as a co-chair to the Anti-Corruption Moreland Commission. Meanwhile, Governor Cuomo has been thwarting the investigation into corruption. The investigating commission's co-chair, Kathleen Rice, had been Governor Cuomo's favorite to be the Attorney General. Political loyalties and other conflicts are interfering with getting to the truth about corruption and influence peddling. Records show that George Arts, the lobbyist and campaign consultant, has made $100,000 in campaign contributions. When Christine Quinn approved the Rudin luxury condo conversion plan for St. Vincent's, she did so after she accepted $30,000 from the Rudin family. Large real estate deals get approved with the impression of pay-to-play. All of these examples serve to reinforce why voters rightfully doubt whether the supermajority of Democratic politicians are able to deliver reforms. Besides the Rudin condo conversion plan for St. Vincent's, another high-profile development where campaign contributions were influential was the Atlantic Yards project in Brooklyn. The real estate developer Bruce Ratner received tax breaks and loans worth $700 million. Meanwhile, Ratner and his associates gave Bill de Blasio over $70,000 in campaign contributions. Did the campaign contributions influence de Blasio to not press Ratner to deliver the affordable housing required under the Atlantic Yards development deal? Meanwhile, big business interests are lining up to donate large amounts of money to Bill de Blasio. After he won the primary, Bill de Blasio said he would not even appear at fundraisers unless his contributors could bundle at least $75,000. A lobbyist connected to the developer Bruce Ratner was arrested on federal corruption charges after he failed to report over $2 million in income. How many arrests and sting operations do we need before politicians undertake real reforms? Senator Huntley, who said she saw all those bags of cash in the state Senate building, helped the government's case against Ratner's lobbyist. While lobbyists bundled donations in the millions of dollars, Senator Huntley was sent to jail for stealing $87,000. How do investigators decide which corrupt lobbyist or politician to prosecute? After the direct action of activists, Senator Huntley supported marriage equality, allowing it to become law in New York State. Senator Huntley also testified and sponsored legislation to stop hospitals from closing in New York State. Even progressive politicians have run afoul of the undue influence of money in politics. Even John Lew's attorney, a former state senator himself, couldn't persuade the Campaign Finance Board to look at the bigger picture. John Lew got singled out the way Senator Huntley got singled out. My blogger friend Gary Tilzer likes to tell me that the true size of the influence of money in politics is not known and is therefore never scrutinized. Sometimes we're lucky to find out that money gets allocated to fictitious organizations. It appears that lobbyists have influence in shaping public policy, and some politicians never fully disclose the meetings they have with lobbyists. How can it come to be that newspapers known for investigative journalism can't catch on to the problem of money in politics? Maybe it's going to take a few more prosecutorial investigations into lobbyists who double as campaign consultants and to newly planned real estate developments for gambling interests. I have to return this money to the bank so that I can pay my rent, which means this year I'll be casting my mayoral vote for Dr. Tony Granovich of the Green Party. Why are voters left to wrestle and rummage through elections with mainstream political party candidates who offer no concrete ideas or plans to institute real reforms? Let's wait and see how many more lobbyists plead guilty during Preet Bharara's prosecutorial crackdown on corruption.